Hello, and welcome to Rootstock, the 100% Salesforce native ERP that's purpose-built for manufacturers and distributors. In this video, I'll be walking us through inventory management, where I'll be showcasing the item master record, showcasing how we can define configurations, which will drive downstream operational behavior for those items, as well as walking through replenishment and other ways that we can secure accurate inventory levels throughout the system. Inventory within Rootstock starts with the item master records. We could always use search and quickly pinpoint that item 360. And from this item master, this is going to define all those configurations which will influence behavior. For example, from a sourcing perspective, we can define, is this purchased or is this manufactured? So whenever we need to bring in new inventory, are we cutting purchase orders? Are we creating work orders? Or even if it's subcontracted, or we're cutting purchase orders to an outside contract manufacturer to then bring in an assembly into the system. All these are different types of sources to bring new inventory into our inventory locations. And then from a sales perspective, where are we fulfilling these orders from? Are we pulling inventory from our warehouse stock to fulfill that customer demand? In a manufactured environment, are we doing make to order work orders where we're automatically spawning work orders against a customer sales order? Are they kitted? Is it drop ship, special ordered, so on and so forth? All of this is going to influence downstream behavior as we transact with this item throughout the system. From a replenishment perspective, there's a number of ways to drive continuity of supply. First, we can do material requirements planning, or we call MRP, to forecast demand on a weekly or a monthly basis. And then based on what we're forecasting out, based on what we have in actual orders and actual demand from customers, based on what we have currently on hand and in future supply, based on open purchase orders from vendors, we can have the system automatically recommend purchase orders at lead time to secure inventory for that projected demand. And then for simpler use cases, we could do distribution resource planning, or what we call DRP, where we can define on a location by location basis what is our minimum stocking level so that whenever inventory dips below that threshold, what's the quantity that we should then be replenishing back to? And in this case, are we purchasing from our vendor to bring that inventory and replenish back to our desired on-hand inventory levels? Or are we transferring inventory from our warehouse and rebalancing across sites to make sure that inventory is available? So you're noticing that whether we're forecasting, whether we're doing min-max purchasing, or doing planned transfers and balancing inventory across locations, there's a number of ways that we can strategically ensure that inventory is always available to meet our expected customer demand. All of these configurations are going to drive the downstream purchasing and production processes within the system. So for example, as we run MRP and DRP, we'll be recommending items that need to be ordered. Once items are on open purchase order, we'll be prompted that we have items that need to be received. And then we can actually execute those receipts either directly from our dashboard or via mobile device where we're scanning items into inventory. Now, all of this is going to drive perpetual inventory levels naturally as we're executing purchasing, sales, production throughout the system. But how do we ensure that we have accurate inventory levels in between those processes? That's where cycle counting comes in. And we can schedule cycle counts based on ABC velocity codes, or we can perform these cycle counts ad hoc. So in this use case, let's do an ad hoc count for the solar panel that we were just reviewing. And typically, these could be blind counts where we're scanning the item, we're specifying what specific zone, aisle, or bin within the warehouse are we counting this item at. And then we can enter our count quantity. In this case, I've only counted 12 units. And in a typical use case, maybe the frontline warehouse user, their role is now completed, and now something gets routed to a backend warehouse manager or inventory manager where they can then review that count. They can see that we were expecting 16 units, only 12 units were counted. So based on that 4-unit variance and the cost of that item, we're expecting to write off 4 units and incur about a $528 loss in inventory. As we proceed with that count, all of this is going to update real-time reports and dashboards. So we're not only adjusting inventory levels to what was actually counted, but we can actually report on all of that impact. So I can have reports that are summarizing how often are we writing inventory off due to miscounts? How is that impacting us both in terms of quantity and units, as well as dollars and cents And then, of course, making sure that we're able to report across all items in all locations how much inventory is on hand at a given time, net of all of our transactions and all of our inventory adjustments and cycle counts. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to your account executive.